this is another of my talks based on the tarot. I've said it many times, but it's not. It's for humanity. It's not for a specific zodiac sign. It's for everybody, and it's not time-based really. It's for whenever you access it. I think that's something of a cop-out, but I mean, it is energies that I'm feeling now, but you may be feeling at a completely different time. And I always say that I'm now completely led by the tarot. I don't plan these out at all. I just draw the cards and then I talk about them. And I can see from these cards that there's no way I'd have planned to speak about this, because it's a little bit depressing, but it is something that needs addressing. If you look at that set, well, there's two cards that tell me it's very depressing. First of all, that's that central card, which is yet more deception. And I know you're saying, surely we've had enough deception, and you have, because I think to a certain degree this deception breaks your little heart, top right. You've been planning for something better, you've been planning for better things by now, but you're getting a bit depressed because of better days don't seem to be coming. But they are. If you look at the bottom left, days of love, days of families, happiness. Yeah, there'll still be wrinkles, but we are moving to a better paradigm. And we're doing it because you're filling your heart full of love. But in doing so, it exposes your heart to being broken, But it's the only way we can move on. What you could do is you could get a sort of sense of direction, this planning that you've had, but things are so fluid. I think longer term, that's probably the worst thing you could be doing right now. Unless you absolutely know you've got everything right, and of course we always feel we've got it right, only for it to be completely dashed. This is a time of dashed hopes, that's for sure. So, let's look at each card individually. And the energy that runs through this is that of deception. It's about continued deception. I listened to a internet radio show, and everybody who listens to it has become quite friendly, even though most of us have never met each other. When we do meet each other, we always get on famously. While I was in Bangkok, I met one of the listeners. Not that he lives in Bangkok, he lives in Berlin, where the show is from, but, we met up in Bangkok and we got on very well. And then somebody else, I did know him from the past, but didn't really remember him. And he lives where my mum used to live. My mum's now dead, but when my mum was, when she was about to die and when she died, I visited him a few times and he was great help to me. You see, he'd been a main board director of a Dutch company, and he a very sensible man, much more sensible than me, and I mean, I'm prone to going off on one, prone to champion lost causes. But I was there during the health crisis, and I let it be known that there's no way I believe the official narrative. And only yesterday we were chatting on this radio show, and the truth is beginning to come out now, isn't it? And I said, look, it gives me no satisfaction whatsoever to say I was right. Except, of course, that I was called a sea theorist, accused of wearing a tinfoil hat. And nothing could be further from the truth, In fact, if there is a sea theory, it's this very illness that we were told was so bad. That's the real sea theory, isn't it? Not people who were doubting it, So the truth is coming out. I don't know if you've been looking at the Helsinki inquiry, but it's dynamite. It's dynamite. And This is spreading throughout the world now. We're all realising that we've been duped, And nobody's holding their hands up, are they? Because of, PR has become the religion of the world now, hasn't it? And PR says, look, if you're accused of something, just deny it and keep on denying it. And they will. They'll keep on denying it until maybe they go to jail or whatever, And I think we've all had enough. Because, I don't know about you, I don't necessarily want to see people go to jail. I don't really want retribution. I just want people to be honest enough and hold their hand up and say, yeah, we lied through our teeth, and this is why we lied through our teeth, and we're sorry, genuinely sorry. That's all I'm after, really, But no, they're going to brass neck it out, and I think we've all had enough. Of course, PR is really a science developed by psychopaths and narcissists. And the people who, are responsible are psychopaths and narcissists. So maybe you shouldn't expect any better. And of course, they are about a fifth of the population. Unfortunately, they're always in positions of authority. Not saying everybody in a position of authority is. My friend that was a main board director of a Dutch company, I don't think he was. Don't think he is, but the vast majority are. The vast majority are. So it's pretty natural what has happened, but I think we're all very, not only are we depressed that it happened, but depressed that it's still happening. I'll talk to you later about taxis in Saigon, something I've talked about many times, but it's highly relevant to this. Now, I don't know how much you listen to me, but those of you who listen to me a fair bit will be aware that I keep saying better days are ahead, and I promise you, even despite this reading, they are. There are much better times coming, but of course we're talking of, well, what are we? I was going to use the word paranormal, but maybe paranormal's the wrong word. We're talking of the unknown here. We're talking of the mystical. We're talking of the non-materialist. Those things that science rather inadequately explains, or doesn't even attempt to explain. And, they're not temporal. There is no conception of time in the way we measure it in this world. So things aren't moving as quickly as you'd like, nor in the direction or way you'd like. I'm not necessarily saying that the change will be revolutionary, but it's feeling more revolution than evolution, and it will change in big chunks rather than small, gradual change. So you've been planning for something, because I've been urging you to. I've been saying, there's going to be change. Somebody needs to lead. Somebody needs to build a new society. And I think you've been planning for it, and you've been waiting for it. And, part of the reason that you're feeling depressed is it's just not happening as quickly as you would anticipate it. And these things never do. Nor do they ever happen as you'd thought they would. And I think just take courage in that. And you are depressed. You are. It's getting to you. Is it about the timing? It could be. It could be. Do I advise? I don't work. Well, I don't work full stop. This is what I do. And I don't earn money from it. No, I don't work. But I do sometimes help people, particularly in the village in Java, when they perceive that they've been possessed by a jinn or something like that, and I sort of remove it for them. Ruqya as it's called in Islam, or I've forgotten the name, exorcism as it would be called in Christianity. I do get engaged in that, I do it, but not that much. And I no longer even use anything that you might consider magical. I only engage in high magic, the mystical, so that I can find ally. Why am I telling you? Oh yeah. Well, whenever I used to sort of help people in, broadly speaking, magical ways, they were always wanting to know when's it going to happen? Time is a human construct, Unless you can do it by the stars, then you can't tell the time on these things. And even then, there's many permutations. You could get it very wrong, So it's partly that, but I think it's also relevant to talk about taxes in Saigon now. And excuse me, some of you will have heard this story many times before, but I used to go to Vietnam quite a lot. I worked, partially I worked for the National University of Vietnam, admittedly in Hanoi rather than Saigon. But I used to fly into Saigon, particularly from Indonesia, from Jakarta. And it was in the days of the old airport, which was really a part of the city, it wasn't far out at all. And the price into the centre of the city, in Dong, was about $2. But every time I jumped in a taxi, the driver would say to me, $10. And because you can use dollars there as well as Dong, But I knew it to be $2, and all I wanted them to do was put on the meter, and I'd pay them what was on the meter in Dong. And I try and explain this, but all they'd go with $10. Whether they couldn't speak English at all, and all they knew was $10, or whether this was another bit of them trying it on, I don't know. And I at $2 in Dong, I was always happy to be quite generous in my tips with them, but not when they blatantly try and rip me off like that, So it used to frustrate the hell out of me. I used to get so upset. I used to dread flying into Saigon because of it. And then in the end, I realised that all you do is you pay them what you know it should be in Dong and get out of the car. And I never had any problems, But it took me so long to understand that. And yeah, you've had enough of this deception. It's gone on for so long, and you're beginning to realise just how extensive it is. People like me realise that I've been manipulated my entire life. I've wasted my entire life on lost causes, and we've had enough now, haven't we? We've all had enough, and it can get depressing. Now, I've said to you, I just deal out the cards. I don't rig this at all. And this next card this next energy might give you the impression I've rigged it, but I promise you I've not. This is about the future. I don't think it's long-term future, but it's the future. And it's highly positive. So, I've been saying to you, even though things are seemingly quite bad, or that's how you feel about them right now, longer term, and long term, I believe things are much more positive. And here we have an energy of happy families, an energy of blessings. And I think that's what we're being told, to let love into our lives, focus on our loved ones, focus on what we can do rather than what we perceive we can't do. Fill our lives full of love and things will get better. I think there is a warning on this rendering that there will always be ripples, niggles. And I think a part of that is that, as I said, it's not going to be gradual, but I think it's going to be a series, if you like, of revolutions. Revolution is the wrong word. Sounds like I'm advocating. I'll get into trouble if I use the word communist. People will tell me about how their mother, their uncle, their grandparents, their wife lived in the Soviet Union, China, Venezuela, Cuba, I mean, there's more of these people than have ever lived in these countries, aren't there? But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about change, and change can be evolutionary or revolutionary. And I see this as being a series of revolutions, but I don't mean it in those terms. Don't go off on one and tell me about your grandfather, A series of major changes. And with each change, things will get better, but there will still be elements that will upset us within these new paradigms. And that's how it's going to go. But I think there is great hope. I really do. I want you to know there is massive hope. And I've kept saying it, and I know you're getting frustrated. I know you are. But I promise you that there is great hope, and change is coming. And it will be for the better. One of the reasons you get depressed, and indeed this energy we have here does lead to a broken heart, and one of the reasons for it is that you are full of love. You're a very caring person. You're somebody that cares deeply, like me, about humanity and about your fellow man, and you don't like to see the world in the position it's currently in. You really want to do something about it, and you're probably like me, you've spent your life fighting lost causes. But do you know something? I've been getting messages from the tarot, very clear messages, that however stupid this may seem, this is the right thing to be doing. Fill your heart full of love, continue to be loving, and we can create a better world. Whereas to fill your heart full of hatred, hate those people that are continuing to dupe us, continuing to betray us, continuing to claim that they are innocent when blatantly they're not, will just make us as bitter and make the world as even uglier than it already is. To such an extent that I can't help but feel that so much of what is going on isn't about what it seems, but it is to blacken our hearts. And the universe is saying, no. Be loving. Follow your heart. Love is all there is. Now, what is the opposite of love? Is it hate? Could be, couldn't it? Where does hate come from? Well, I think it's from having too firm a view of things, not having any compassion. So we have an energy here that is definitely the opposite of love, because of the outcome is the opposite. But it's about you having a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, a sense of knowing where you're going, a sense of balance, a sense that you know, i.e. the ego, and not others. Now, of course, if you've got it right, then there's no harm in this. But we live in such strange times. The paradigms are changing all the time and will continue to change. Not least because of so much that we think is real, factual, is turning out to be anything but. we've always had a faith in science, in medicine, in universities. They've been hopelessly corrupted, haven't they? Hopelessly. Where can we turn for truth, apart from inside ourselves, apart from love? Therefore, there's a huge warning against this having rigid, firm beliefs, ideas, including firm religious beliefs. Now I'm a very devout Muslim, but I can absolutely understand this because Islam has been destroyed by the view that it's all about judging and punishing others. No religion should ever be about that. How did we get to this situation whereby we convince ourselves that things are the exact opposite of what they are? Well, of course, it's because we're preoccupied with the temporal, we're preoccupied with time and space, which doesn't exist outside our world. But yeah, these are quite strong warnings coming, and it's why we're going to find change not happening as we expect, nor when we expect, because all of us have still got everything so terribly wrong. And I'm sorry to say, but you're somebody like me, aren't you? You are a loving person. You are a person that cares. Even if I told you you've got to be tougher, you've got to put up boundaries, you're not that capable of it, are you? No. It breaks your little heart, all that's happening. It breaks your heart to know what you've devoted your life to has been a sham. It breaks your heart to find out that those people who said, "Trust me," are the least trustworthy people in the world. It breaks your heart to realise that we've destroyed everything. Everything has been destroyed. And all we can do now is rebuild. But we can't even get on with the rebuilding while those responsible are still trying to convince us, even though we can all see through it, still trying to convince us that they did nothing wrong and that we're sea theorists, tinfoil hat wearers, whatever other disgusting slurs they want to put on us. When of course the sea came from them, didn't it? All along. All along, everything was a mirror image of the truth. And we all know it now. We all know it, but it doesn't half depress some of us. But do you know, I think it's just a feeling I've got. And I'll need to explain this twist at some other time to most of you. But maybe that was what it was all about. To make us depressed. Because if we all think there is no hope, if we all get in a depression, think there's no hope, then we're accepting of the very worst things that can happen. Whereas if we have hope and love in our hearts, we can change the trajectory for the better. And maybe all this was about making us depressed, destroying our hope, destroying everything that we think can be done, destroying our confidence in a better world, our confidence in humanity. And you know, I've said before, this is all a result of psychopaths and narcissists who at best are 20% of humanity. So why the hell are we focusing on what they do and not what the 80% of good, decent people can do and can achieve without them?